remember what the old MD, do you ever have malt liquor in England? Is that a thing?
No, we have cider.
Oh, that's right. You do have cider. It's like beer with sweet tarts. Yeah, so match week 24. We've gotten through it, Ben. There has been some movement in the table. How did you feel about watching match week 24, Ben?
I think it's exciting. We saw a lot of upsets, a lot of big teams come back. The title race is wide open. The bottom of the relegation race heats up as well. So lots of good
Is the title race
storylines.
open?
Well, I guess for the top four,
Yes.
the top four
Yeah.
title race is really open. I think, and Man City have found their mojo as well. So it's some sexy football they're playing.
I call it the Arsene Wenger Memorial Top 4 title. You know, it's like just getting it now that getting the top 4 is such a. I don't know if you follow. There's an interesting Twitter feed called the Swiss Ramble, I think, and it like they go through clubs like financial records and they do them in very long Twitter threads, and it's like getting in the Champions League is like double the amount of revenue, like 40 extra million than winning the Europa League. And it's like such a, if you think about that, a $40 million player, it's like, that is, it wasn't that much different than team like buying, someone will talk about like Timo Werner, right? Like affording the transfer wage, or the guy who just went to Bayern Munich, the Leipzig defender Upamecano or something like that. I can't remember how to pronounce his name, but it's a material amount of money. So the Arsene Wenger trophy is worth a lot of money.
Well, what else it means? It's not just a big cash input as well, but it's how you retain and you attract talent. If you can say you've got Champions League football, I keep thinking what Liverpool are going to do with their big stars if they don't promise them Champions League football next year. They can say just stick with us for one more year, but maybe for people like Mane and Salah, if they do need to refresh the team, then it's probably good for everyone to leave now when they don't have Champions League football.
Yeah, and it also hurts your recruitment, right? Like the big prize next summer is Erling Haaland. I don't think that Erling Haaland is going to go to a side that's not in Champions League football. So it's like, I don't think, rightly or wrongly, I don't think Chelsea got Kai Havertz without finishing in the top 4. So recruitment, retention, revenue, it's just a big deal. So I joke about it being the Arsene Wenger trophy, right? Like, because I used to laugh at Arsenal fans when they'd be like, but we won a trophy because we qualified for top 4. Now I'm less laughing at that because now I'm in the Chelsea situation. We're not as good, and qualifying for top 4 is like a big deal. But Arsene Wenger Memorial Trophy is a big deal. Been a team that is going to struggle to get one of those 4 places. We're going to go to the Liverpool match. Leicester 3, Liverpool 1, Ben. We talked about it last week that Alisson was probably the second best keeper in the Premier League. Well, Ben, Alisson's now got the yips, and it's a thing.
I don't. So what's the thing? So I think he's now made mistakes in 2 games, but they're very different kind of mistakes. One was just maybe a lack of execution. It was less about decision making last week. It was just the lack of being able to pass out from the back,
which not great.
Which wasn't great, but it's not been a huge flaw in his game. I think sometimes keepers it's tough for keepers to pass out from the back, I think, and some of the passes and range of passes he was doing, you can screw up, and it's much more noticed by the keeper than it is on field. Now, his latest mistake was decision making, and I wonder if he makes this week's mistake if he hasn't made last week's, meaning that this week he feels he's got something to prove and he tries to make up for a bad performance with really standing out, an exceptional kind of crazy, but I'm still this great sweeper keeper, you can trust in me. And I think you need more mistakes to become a thing. I think it's something to watch, but I don't think Alisson's become a calamity keeper in the Premier League.
I don't think, no. I think when I say it's a thing, it's clearly in his head, right? And it's a position where if you lose confidence, it's a sort of confidence position, right? Like believing that you can stop the ball and not questioning your instincts. Like I think, I think most great keepers go through like a rough patch where, I mean, I can think of Peter Cech going through a rough patch. Neuer went through a rough patch a little bit. Most of the great keepers go through a crisis, not to be hyperbolic, but a crisis of faith, like about like their skills and abilities. Um, yeah, I could think Peter Cech just like couldn't field the ball from across for a little while. Just kind of just didn't work out. But like that's what I'm thinking. Like when I saw that mistake, it's like, oh, he's trying. Like he doesn't like he's thinking instead of reacting, and that's what I say it's a thing. I don't think he's turned into Kepa, but it's turning into a situation where he's got it in his head that he needs to make up for these mistakes, and I think that's quicksand mentally.
Yeah. It's funny. You see the same thing with strikers as well. They miss a chance, and the best strikers are the one that know that another chance is coming. I think the keeper knows another save is coming, and like those consistently brilliant keepers, like you talk about the Manuel Neuers of the world. People are known for like either spectacular saves, but the people that don't get the credit are the Edwin van der Sars, and Peter Cechs, just very, very solid keepers that don't have any flash, but are just consistently great week in, week out, don't make mistakes, don't drop balls. So it is interesting though.
Well, you know who the happiest animal on the planet is?
What's that?
It's a goldfish. You know why?
The 2 second memory?
10-second memory. That's a Ted Lasso. That's Ted Lasso for you.
There you go.
But so Liverpool, we got the problems at the back. I am, and I'm going to apologize to Jurgen Klopp. I still think he's been a bit of a baby this season, but I had forgotten that his mother died. So I'm going to excuse a little. I'm going to have some compassion and some empathy for that. That maybe he's a little bit extra testy because he can't say like I don't care about football right now. But I imagine if my mother died I wouldn't give all that much if I lost to Leicester and I couldn't go to her funeral. So I'm going to say to hand up that I need to factor that into my analysis of Jurgen Klopp and his things. But I'm now going to attack his coaching, not his moral character. I think that he's overcorrected the defense, and that I think that the popular thing was the quote from Wenger this weekend is what made Liverpool good is that they could win the ball up the field so quickly and feed their strikers. I think by addressing their defense with the best part of with Fabinho and Henderson out of the midfield, I think that they've made their midfield too weak and their defense isn't good enough. So I wonder if you should move Fabinho back to the midfield. Ben, what do you think about that?
Yeah, now Fabinho, he did miss the game against Leicester, and I think he's injured. I wonder though if it's more important to move Henderson out before Fabinho. I think I'd rather have Henderson in my midfield. I think Fabinho, you're going to ask him to be a shield for the defence, and at that point, you may as well move him back into defence rather than get that screen. But I agree, they need to get that midfield back and working because it's definitely affecting the whole team. They struggled with injuries as well. You saw the midfield they had this weekend. Yep. They had Milner and Curtis as well, and it's not a great midfield. It's not a great defence. So I'm giving Klopp a break as well because I don't think his coaching's really changed. I think there's so many factors playing in with injuries being, I think, number one, but number two is the idea of trying to motivate players to win again for a second season. And I know we're going to go on and talk about Thiago as well, but I think betting in new players is having an impact as well.
Yeah, good transition to Thiago. I think that, the idea with Thiago and Jota is that teams run in about 3-year cycles, and it's hard to sustain dominance. You don't see teams minus Bayern and Juve go on, in the Premier League go on 10-year runs back to back. Usually a team cycles up, and we've talked about Sir Alex Ferguson knowing when to refresh a squad, what the signings are. I think they thought with Thiago, hey, let's not be so reliant on the press. Let's get a little bit more ball control and we can win. It's just not working out right now. And it's one of those things where Thiago's a really hard player because, the people that are, very intelligent, like the football intelligentsia on Twitter will be like, Thiago's amazing. I should say Thiago, by the way. Thiago's amazing. Look at this ball progression. Look how he filters it out. But I just don't think it's that good right now. There's no subtle ball progression that is. He looks a little lost right now, and I don't really, I wonder if it's a square peg and round hole right now with
Yeah.
Thiago.
Yeah, he had a good start to his career, and he
Yep.
definitely had a poor game as well against Leicester, called out of position. I don't think the other midfield players around him really helped either. I think Milner's. It didn't help that he could track back, and Curtis is young as well. I think it's too soon to tell about whether Thiago's been a great fit for Liverpool as well. I'd love to see them back in a full strength team and
Sure.
see what he does with the right players around him as well. It might just take some time to bed in, but as you say, I think he was brought in for a little bit of that Champions League experience, and what Klopp had in mind was those games where they need to have a bit better ball retention against the big teams, and where possession really counts more as well, and someone maybe to control the tempo. So I think I'd love to see him back in a full strength Liverpool. And until then, I don't think we'll see the best of any player there.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I kind of have to remind myself of this. I'm like, in a sport like basketball, if you sign like a top 5 player in the world, and I think people thought coming out of the Champions League final that Thiago was a top 10 player in the world, right? Like, um, the or at least in that conversation, you think that like those players can bed in any situation, right? Like coming in basketball, like if you sign a top 10 player, he's just gonna be good on whatever the team is. It doesn't guarantee team success, but he himself is going to be good. I think we're learning this year, and maybe in coronavirus and not having preseason and tactical instructions and new country and mental health and all that stuff, that a lot of big names are flopping. There's not like I don't know, who would you say is like the best signing this year in the Premier League. I can't even think of like a big money signing that has been if you go through the top clubs, Chelsea, like a lot of flops, Liverpool flops, Man City.
No, I tell you who probably was the best. I think Jota has probably been the best signing in terms of impact to that team. Now, maybe you take something away for injuries that really aren't his fault.
But he came from the Premier League.
Okay.
I guess I'm more thinking about like foreign signings coming into the Premier League, like Man City, Manchester United, your left back. I haven't seen him in 10 years. I mean, Cavani's been okay.
You can see Cavani's been decent, and Telles has maybe you could argue has pushed Shaw's game on a little bit. But yeah, I don't think
it hasn't been a year where foreign signings have done very well in the Premier League. It just hasn't. Coronavirus. It would seem like that would be an obvious, like, moving to a foreign country, you can't go out. You're, young guy, you can't bet in. You can't really like get a lot of tactics with your team because, like, I think Tuchel was talking about. He's like, I have no time, like none, to embed my tactics in the side. So
I've got one for you.
Who?
James Rodriguez for Everton.
He started well. I don't think he's been gangbusters, but he's been a decent signing. I think that they went through a little rough patch and he was not doing well in the side. But yeah, I don't hate that shout. I'm trying to look at my table over here. Who like?
Yeah, I just looked through. No one jumped out. I think this year has been more of a story around your youth prospects and the risings of a lot of youth players into the side. And I think you can go through a lot of the Premiership teams and these youth team players have really had that breakout season as well. From Lamptey at Brighton to
where
Saka,
is he? Where is Lamptey?
He's injured.
He's
been injured for a long time as well. But there's been some really good young talent that's come through. Maybe more than the foreign stars, which is funny.
A lot of wing backs. Sexy young English wing backs now that we have Cal Hudson.
Right wing backs in particular.
Right. Yeah, no left wing backs. No left wing backs can be found. Actually, Leicester lost a good left back, Justin James. What was his name? He just got hurt, and not in this match. Yeah, he just got hurt. Sad to hear that. Yeah. ACL. We disagree on this. I think I love Vardy. at the corner flag. I don't know if you remember this year, he had the kick of the corner flag where he like exploded it. And I thought this was him like making right with the corner flag, making sweet, romantic, rocking gestures to the corner flag. So I loved it.
I think you said it was an excellent Vardy celebration. I much preferred the sliding of the corner flag. I
Yep.
really hope we do see a corner flag trend here, and that next it's like an Elvis on the mic and
Yep.
all kinds of things all around the as some kind of homage or makeup or love song to the corner flag after he destroyed it with that unintentional sliding tackle. I hope now it's he shows it some love. So maybe if it's part of the series, I'm going to be in.
Yeah, I agree. I want to see the trilogy of Vardy corner flag celebrations. I would like to see one player, since there's no one in the stands, let's take advantage of it. Let's, think about this. I want to see someone pick it up like a javelin and just like throw it into the stadium. I mean, like we need to take advantage. Like there's no crowd. It sucks. But let's turn let's turn lemons into lemonade. Although I I was watching New Girl last night. I've just started watching New Girl, and Nick Miller had a funny line. He's like, "I make lemonade into lemons." I really like that saying, the reversing of that. So anyway, shout out Nick Miller, New Girl. You watched New Girl, right?
Yeah, we like New Girl. We've watched Superstore recently, and we love. Although the last season, it's been cancelled this season, has got really ropey. But my favourite line is he's trying to train like all these idiots in like a Walmart store, like what to do, and he's like, if you've got time to lean, you've got time to, and they're like, dream, and he's like, no, not dream, and they're like, lean, and then he's like, no, I said lean at the beginning. He's like, God damn it, it's so funny. It's well worth a watch.
Interesting. Yeah. So we Leicester. I'm side eyeing Leicester a little bit after their collapse last year. They're not a very deep squad. We've got injuries, and I think Thursday trips to Transylvania, which you know about in the Europa League. It's a poison chalice at Europa League. So do we think that Leicester, given what has happened last year, given that they got those Thursday matches in some former Eastern Bloc countries, do we think that they have what it takes to stay in the top four this season?
So I'll say personally, and I'll say no. This is my big bet. I think we'll see them drop off. I really wonder why they dropped off so hard the end of last season, because they really did. They were flying high and they were favourites for top four, and then they fell away hard, letting Man United sneak into fourth place. Thank you very much. I don't think so. I think you're right. Their squad is too thin. Europa is definitely not going to help them, and they do not have a deep squad, and they're getting injuries right now in this congested season. I don't think this is going to last long. What do you think? Do you think they're going to keep top four?
Yeah, I think it's going to be tight, right? I just don't see like an ascendant side 2 through 6. They at least have a consistent style that Manchester United could get hot. I mean, every team could get hot, but I don't think that none of those teams in the chasing pack are playing all that well. Now we have like 14 more rounds of fixtures to go, right? And they don't have an insurmountable lead. But also, Thursday's tough. I will say that, but I think that Brendan Rodgers might be the best manager amongst that group, right? Like if I had to pick, no, that's not fair. Klopp is the best manager. Sorry, I'll take that back. But Brendan Rodgers is a really good manager in the Premier League. So yeah, I do think that they're not going to finish second. They will not finish second. I don't know where they're going to finish, third or fourth, probably, if I'm going to say they're going to finish top four, but I do not feel like they're going to finish second. I don't know who's going to finish second.
Where do you think they'll come at the end of the season? What do you think their place will be?
So I will say that they will finish third. I think third. I'm not counting Liverpool out, by the way. I'm not counting them out. They're in a fight, but I'm not counting them out. I
think they'll finish 5th or 6th.
from your lips to God's ears on that one as a Chelsea fan. Let's go to you said there was a title race. I tend to disagree after the past 15 or 16 results Man City's won in a row. Man City 3, Spurs 0. Ben, I think I said in the podcast last week, Gundogan was the player of the year. That take aged pretty well. Pretty well as he was putting Spurs players on their behind during the match, scoring another 2 goals, getting injured unfortunately, but Ilkay Gundogan, who would have thought it? I bet you could have gotten some really good odds on that player of the season at the beginning of the year.
All right, so I didn't want to say no, you're wrong, because Bruno Fernandes is, but I wanted to actually try and get some facts and some stats to back
interacting
this up.
here. It's got a little interacting.
Stay with me here as well. So he is the most informed player in Europe. He has 9 in 9. No other player since the start of the calendar year has scored more goals. So he's got 9 in the last 9 games. My problem with your shout for player of the year is it's not been consistent. You've got some recency bias around why he's doing so well as well. He's only scored 11 in total, and that was 9 in the last 9 games. That means that for the last 12 games, he's been amazing. He didn't score in the Premier League until December. His average goals per match. So let's take, for example, Bruno Fernandes, probably one of my shouts for player of the year. On average goals per match, 0.58. Salah, 0.64.
They play a little bit different positions, Gundogan and Salah.
Yeah. Talking about player of the year. Okay, we look at assists, but this is just on goals. Only 0.22 average goals, so much, much lower. Less than half Bruno and a third of Salah. So I think Bruno's been more consistent. I think
hold on. Salah and Bruno also are the penalty takers. So there's some inflation.
Is it my fault Gundogan can't take a penalty and can't be trusted? Anyone could. I could take a penalty for City at the moment. It's his fault for not being able to put them away and claim that spot. I do think he's benefited from KVB being out and having no strikers as well. He's definitely been allowed to move up the field. And I do wonder what happens to his form goal scoring when now we know Kevin De Bruyne is back in training. What's going to happen as well. So definitely the informed player in Europe. I think he has to carry this form on to the end of the season for player of the year to make up for the slow first half of the season. Firstly, I did not know he was, and that's been news to me.
You kind of faded out right there.
Oh, I did not know Gundogan was German.
Well, there's a huge German-Turkish population. So like Mesut Özil, right? Yeah. So, I mean, I think I just knew that because of Özil, right? He came up at Dortmund. I don't know what his youth side was, but he came up at Dortmund. But yeah, it's
so he's like Turkish born, like Turkish heritage.
Yeah, it's kind of like Brazil has the largest Japanese population outside of Japan. Just kind of some of those weird migration pattern scenarios that don't if you live there don't make sense, but you're just not aware of. So I think, and I want to wrap this up because I don't want to I'm not dying on the Gundogan take. I'm just saying that I think that the player of the year is not the best player of the award. It is the player that fits the narrative on the team that wins the title. Generally, it's what it is. And I'm kind of like Jordan Henderson was not the best player last year, right? But I kind of accepted that he was the player of the season because it's more of a narrative-based award, I think, usually, than a straight, this is the best player in the Premier League. So I almost want 2 awards, player of the year and then best player award. I would give Bruno the best player of the season. I would give maybe right now, in City, you may give say hey, Ruben Dias or John Stones, one of those for what they've done in the back line. But I think it's a bit of a narrative award. Ben, I want to go. Have you seen Spurs are selling I don't even know what the Carling Cup is called now. It's the Carabao Cup. I can't remember.
I don't think it's Carabao anymore. I think it's a bank.
they're selling I'll call it the Carabao Cup or the bank, unnamed bank 2021 finalist keychains, like before the match. How so, Ben? I guess what I'm saying, in a club that has not won a trophy since I think 2008, which was the Carling Cup against Chelsea in extra time, is winning the Carling Cup in Jose Mourinho's humongous buyout enough for Spurs to stick with Mourinho into next season, given what has happened this year and how terrible they are to watch?
So I'd say with any other club, no. But I think the thing with Spurs is that they've been desperate for silverware more than anything else. Like any cup at this point to start that winning mentality. Yeah. So I think fourth wasn't enough. Making Champions League finals wasn't enough. Like it's not good enough. We need silverware. I think at this stage, any silverwares to win a tournament is huge. So I do think that is definitely enough for the Spurs team. I think they'll be very, very, very happy if they can win any silverware, whatever it is this season.
What a loser mentality. I would be so mad at my club. Not that my opinion matters, but if my club made finalists for the Carabao Cup keychains, I can't think who in the marketing department thought that was a good idea.
Do you want to know the truth behind it, though?
What?
So I heard about a lot of these things that exist in the shop only exist in AI, and if there's enough demand for it, then they'll just go off and send that to the printers. So they're not printed sitting in a warehouse. They will, based on AI demand and search terms, it will create a made-up thing on the website, and then it will go off and do it if you get enough orders in there.
So if enough people search for Carling Cup finalists, it's like, oh, okay, we're just gonna create a keychain, a hat, a sweatshirt, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, after the printers it goes.
Interesting.
They're not going to have to flush all these keychains into the Thames.
Who buys keychains anymore? I don't know. I'm not a big keychain guy. Every keychain I think I've ever owned, I think it's been like somehow I've like accumulated it through like a gift or something like that. I've never bought a keychain. Ben, I want to go talk about Everton Fulham because there's someone in that match that was a big part of my life. Sunderland Till I Die. I love that series. Ben, I read online. It's very funny that on Reddit, when something happens, there usually is like I'll call it a singing thread where someone will belt out the first few lyrics in text, and then as the thread goes down, people add in the lyrics. And that show had a very distinctive opening, talking a very somber song about the docks. And my question is, and this was a big thing in the Reddit thread, was that, did you enjoy that song, or was that an automatic skip for you when you heard that song?
Oh, it was a banger. Loved it.
Oh yeah, that's what I thought too.
Mood setter. It was perfect for the mood as well. I thought it was absolutely great.
One of my favorite intros. I loved that song. Be there. Really, really great series. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we were aligned on that song was a banger. Actually has the worst intro is New Girl. It's like me and my wife make fun of it all the time about how awful the intro is. It's like varying lengths. Sometimes it's really short. Sometimes you get a longer version. It's very weird.
The show kicks in when Megan Fox arrives. Just a spoiler.
She just arrived.
Oh,
she just arrived. I did a little research because there's like Coach and Winston. Like Winston replaced Coach because Coach had to go on another show, but eventually Coach comes back. I'm gonna say Winston's a nothing character. He's just he's by far the worst part of the show.
And he gets crazy as well.
Does he go crazy, Winston?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I need something more from him because he's replacement level actor. I feel like we could get someone more. I was hoping Coach comes back because Winston's terrible.
He gets better. I like Winston at the end of it. I can't remember his journey, but he's decent.
Speaking of TV characters, we got Josh Maja, who ended up one of my favorite things in Sunderland Till I Die ever. So Josh Maja was on deals expired in 6 months, so they had to sell him to Bordeaux, right, to recoup the money. But to follow that up, what was it, Charlie? What was Charlie's name? Charlie Gregson? I can't. Whatever. Whoever the rich pompous owner was didn't realize that he'd have to buy another player to fill Josh Maja's shoes, and ended up spending 4 times the amount that he like saved was selling Josh Maja. One of the funnier things I've ever seen happen on television. Ben, do you remember that whole transfer saga of Josh Maja to
I
Bordeaux?
remember it, but I don't remember the player. But now, like, it's coming up again as well. Like, I know he went to Bordeaux, and I do know they didn't want to let him go. And it's hard buying and selling players, but I didn't remember the player name, but I remember the scenario.
Okay, yeah. So the player they bought, I think, was named Will Grigg. He's from like League One and just like didn't end up scoring. So I was like super pumped. Josh Maja, they scored 2 goals. One of them was a pretty well, like, nice movement. The second one was a rebound. Fulham, I would say post-Christmas, now they haven't got a ton of wins, but they have been a nasty side to play against. One of those sides that, like, I think with the Brighton are maybe their points don't reflect how good I think they've played in the past couple months. Ben, do you think that Fulham have, I can't remember how far they're back from Newcastle. Maybe that's like 10 points, 9 points, something like that. Do you think they have what it takes to maybe catch Newcastle, Burnley, or I don't think Brighton's going to be too far out, but do you think that Fulham of the 3 teams, can they claw their way out of relegation?
So they're 7 points behind Newcastle, but they have a game in hand. I think a lot depends on it. And everyone's like, a game in hand, that's an automatic 3 points. Why do we even bother getting that? But they've only won 3 games all season, so maybe game in hand doesn't really matter. I think it depends.
You know they're playing tomorrow?
Who?
Burnley.
Okay. So, interesting. A relegation 6-pointer. Is it too early to say that? I think it depends. I think it depends on what Maja does, considering he was a final deadline day signing. I do agree they found a much better style of play in recent months. It's been more effective, more energy, a lot more direct. If I'm looking at anyone failing, is it Newcastle, Crystal Palace? I think they're talking about getting rid of Hodgson. They need Zaha back. Yeah,
no.
I think they
you can't do it to Uncle Roy. Love Uncle Roy.
He's so old. He just give him a break. Burnley just won, and they've got the same number of games in hand. So my biggest likely candidate is Newcastle, and they've got Callum Wilson out for a couple of months. They are absolutely dire. I can't see them scoring any goals. Although I read today that they're going to make an effort to get Sturridge in as an attempt to keep them up.
Post game, didn't he get busted for gambling, or was it drugs? I can't remember.
Wasn't that Trippier?
No, Trippier did, but Sturridge had a contract torn up in like Turkey for something. He did something in Turkey.
So I guess it depends. I think it would have to rely on Fulham getting better and better, and Newcastle getting worse and worse. Both those things I can see happening.
Speaking of which, I think Sturridge would be the least fun player to ever play with because he just shoots on site all the time. He's never seen a pass. Like, I kind of admired it because sometimes I'm like, oh, I wish players would shoot more. But then it's Sturridge, like, it's the complete, like, you shoot way too much. Yeah. Way too much. Danny Sturridge, I'm a fan, but I would not want. He's like that guy in pickup basketball where like you recognize he's good, but he's like, I just don't want to play with him. He's just like it's like he's gonna shoot too much. He's gonna yell at me for not being good enough. Like I'm not. I like Danny Sturridge, but I would not want to play with him.
It's just as if they need like more fallen from grace, thought of a lot at the beginning, but ravaged by injury players in their team. I mean, to pin your season's hopes on Sturridge seems like a huge gamble.
To be fair, he was part of my favorite Premier League starting line. That post-Christmas Sterling, Suarez, Sturridge front line when they were just ripping people apart under Brendan Rodgers for Liverpool. That was a really fun side. Too bad Steven Gerrard slipped and lost them the title against Chelsea. But speaking of the boys in blue, Ben, Chelsea 2, Newcastle 0. This is not like, again, we talked about Newcastle. It was dire. Not a lot to talk about in this match from like a match perspective, but I do think it's interesting because we've got to give our, constant, like, I think your biggest whipping boy of the season Timo Werner had himself a good match. His 2 man of the match performances in a row. Had himself hockey is. Oh no, yeah. He, I mean, he's seriously, he's 1 man of the match 2 times in a row. The last 2 matches, he had a hockey assist this time and a goal. Like, I don't know, he's creating goals. He also had an assist and a penalty last time. Like, he's creating a lot of goal scoring actions. A lot more assists than you would think, but gets off the snide. Had 2 horrendous misses in this match. Horrendous misses.
I
but
thought
get off.
so too.
What?
Yeah, I thought, like, no, everyone said, like, how well he played. I thought he should have done a lot better with that Alonso header and that Kovacic through ball he should have put away as well.
The Kovacic through ball was a little tough. I don't think he had to be so fancy with it. But the attempt he made, the Alonso header, I think he rushed that. Like, I think he had time just to chest it and just bang it into the goal. He was. But but I think he was getting into the right positions and stuff like that, making the right runs, not losing the ball as much. We're talking about a low bar here. Like, we're not talking about Timo Werner, the sexy 24-year-old striker coming from Germany. This is the tarnished reputation, Chelsea striker. We don't have a great reputation of signing strikers, to be honest. Post Drogba, we just basically, it's Costa and that's it. Everything else has just been a complete disaster. So we just got to give him his due, right? Like, we got, he's turning it around. He seems to be fighting. I think as a neutral, actually it's not a neutral. I think that we have given him so much shtick. We have to call out when he plays somewhat well, not as well as he could have played.
I agree, and I think his goal was so scruffy, though, that tapping on the back post. He was lucky to get it. First goal in 100 days, 1,000 minutes, blah, blah, blah. And I do, like, he's been adding something in his... he works hard, right? You can still see he's working hard. He's out on the left, not his favourite position, etc., and he's contributing, and I think that's fair. I guess, to your point, he's brought in as this, like, dominant goal scorer, and I want him in the middle. I want him banging on goals, getting into chances. You have all these other creative talent around him, the Serchiks, the Pulisics of the world, to play the same position that Werner's playing. I want you to be on the end, just bang. Your goal is like tapping merchant. That's what I want. And so I think that's where the disappointment is, not the fact that he's not contributing, but the fact he's not this goal machine and getting the golden boot like everyone thought he might at the beginning of the season. Probably unfairly, but that was at least some of the expectation.
No, I don't think it's unfair. I mean, the Liverpool wanted to sign him as like as the fresh, like, and I will say this: he's not a left winger. He is not a central striker. He is like in the left channel. So what they've been doing is like putting 2 inside forwards and a false 9, so that both of them can run. Like, it's kind of like it's a hybrid between a winger and a striker. I think in FIFA you call it like a right center forward or a left center forward or something like that. So that's what Tuchel has been sort of thing. So I think he finds a little, because he likes to, he likes to use his speed, like, to cut in and make cross runs. But we're sort of burying the lead a little bit in this match, because yes, we got to give Timo Werner his thing, but Ben, I don't know. Are you the type of guy that as soon as an hour before the match you're refreshing a Twitter feed to see the lineup? Are you one of those people? Okay, I am one of those people. So I am nervous before the match, like, just because Chelsea doesn't really have a settled side. I'm always,
and you have so much choice. You have such
and I'm interested to see, like,
course.
We have a new manager too, so I'm interested to see how he's going to change it and stuff like that. Which he hasn't changed it much recently. So I'm like constantly refreshing the hour before the match, like being like this. And let me tell you, Ben, there hasn't been a bigger shock for me recently than seeing Kepa's name at the top of the sheet. I was floored. I questioned the sanity of it. I thought that, like, there's not a lot of upside here. I thought Marina Granovskaya must have had this written into Tuchel's contract that he must play Kepa once every X number of matches. So I was prepared for some nastiness in the match. Like I say, like, he didn't have a lot to do for Newcastle, so maybe that's what they were counting on. But wasn't terrible. Almost had one issue where he came out out of the box and had to retreat back. But Ben, how much of a gamble do you think this was of Tuchel, or do you think this was a smart strategic point to get him into the Premier League?
So I don't really understand why you play him. So he's played 2 games. He made some good saves, didn't put a foot wrong, a couple of good saves in this match as well.
Yep.
People I've heard talk about, you need to give him some confidence back. Like he can now challenge for this number 1 and be like the reserve keeper. You need a strong reserve keeper, strong competition. But then Tuchel came out at the end of the game and said that that's it. He's played 2 games. He's back in. He's back in number 2. So,
he's like, no, you will never see him again. He was
I don't understand. Like, it doesn't say anything for like, oh, he's really challenging. I want to see who the best keeper is. It's really like, I'm just going to bring. It feels like a move where he's done it to put him in the shop window versus anything else. Is what it is. So, it's weird. It's weird, but I guess it's weird that that's part of his contract, and that might jeopardize his Tuchel's whole success or that whole game by putting someone you don't quite believe in into goal just so you can make some money on the sale of that keeper.
Yeah, I mean, I think
it's dangerous strategy is what it is.
I think Chelsea operates a little bit more on player sales than some of the other top 4 sides, like the loan army and stuff like that. And I think regardless of what like Roman has done, like I think he tries to wheel, not him per se, but Garanskaya tries to wheel and deal in the transfer market, and that's what it seemed like to me. I thought it was trying to recover value in a distressed asset, and I thought it was I was surprised that Tuchel this early, like when like Chelsea's now like in it, like they're now top 4, they're not that far off from 2. Right, like, it's so funny in this Premier League. You've seen string together like 5 good games. Like you're in the thick of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I just, it's like I ultimately think the gamble works because now the locker room, might think, oh, like Tuchel understands what he's doing and stuff like that. But like if it went horror show, like all the evidence said don't play him. So I thought it was crazy.
It's interesting. I think the last thing I'll say is as well, like Tuchel's not known for playing ball with directors and told to play who you want to play. So it's weird that he'd even agree to that and to jeopardize his success when they need top 4. Totally agree though with.
Well, I mean, we're speculating that Marina Granovskaya was like, hey, like you need to do this, but it's like, to me, that's it's more logical given how Chelsea operates. That insanity is more logical than Tuchel thinking like, oh, I'm going to play him 2 matches back to back after his supreme FA Cup performance. Anyways, Ben, we're going to go to our winners of the week. I'm going to do this really quick. You're probably going to have a better one than me. And I'm going to try to get through this because I think we have a good last segment. Winner of the week to me, Werner. I have to just, we're getting just I'm a Chelsea fan. Get the monkey off its back. I was happy for him. I was happy for him from a human being perspective. He felt good about himself. Ben, it's a low bar. Everything in life is relative. I'm giving Werner the winner of the week.
All right, mine's going to be not just a winner of the week, but probably winner of the season so far. I'm giving it to Martinez, the Villa goalkeeper. And that's because in a time where every single goalkeeper has sucked and there's been high-profile keeper errors, no one's done their reputation for keeping at all any good with the exception of maybe Edison. I think Martinez has been that consistent, solid goalkeeper, man of the match display against Brighton. I think he's been absolutely brilliant. Everyone's favourite fantasy goalkeeper as well, but such a good keeper and such a good success story this season.
I am going to say my loser of the week was Everton. I think I had a real chance to push for top 4 with 2 matches in hand, and we always like talk about these matches in hand. Guess who their next match in hand is with? Man City. So you're gonna get like that. Oh, we're just gonna put them 6 points up. It's that's gonna evaporate. I said before, I think you guys laughed at me. I thought that West Ham was going to finish above Everton in the table. Not so crazy anymore. So I thought Everton had a real chance to win this match and like really stake a claim into the top 4, and they're going to get spanked by Man City, and it's not going to be all that great. So I thought Everton lost a chance to really make a claim in the top 4.
Yeah, they're definitely missing Calvert-Lewin for
Yep.
sure. My loser of the week is Ralph Hasenhuttl. Now, he was just so unlucky against Wolves
Yep.
as well, but I think he, at bed, he lays in night in his wildest dreams, and he just wishes, if he just held steady in this season as well. He looks over and he tunes in tonight at the TV, and he sees PSG and he sees Pochettino, their new manager, thrashing Barcelona in the Champions
Yep.
League. He thinks, that was my trajectory. That could have been me. All I had to do was do all right with Southampton. Then I would have taken like a big six job in the Premier League, and then I would be the new Barcelona manager. But now he's like barely losing against Wolves with bad handball decisions. So he's been my loser of the week.
Nice Pedro Neto goal though. Yeah. Okay, Ben. We're gonna do something fun for the last thing. Champions League is back. You alluded to the fact Kylian Mbappe crushing Barcelona today. Liverpool beat Leipzig, but Champions League, big fans, and we've both been fortunate to see our sides win the Champions League. Our sides have been, since I've been a fan, really, I've seen Chelsea in the Champions League more often than not. You with United have seen your team in the Champions League more often than not. So I kind of wanted us to see if we could construct our favorite, what our path would be in 4 straight games, round of 16, round of 8, round of 4, final, that you would say would be the ideal structure for pure enjoyment of your side winning the Champions League. Some considerations is maybe you don't want to pick a side from the same country, right? I like to think of structuring my sides as I don't want to play the best side in the round of 16, right? I kind of want a progressive build up in sides. So we're just gonna throw that out there, see what we do. Do we want to do a draft, or we just want to go back and forth and make picks, or do we want to do mutually exclusive stuff, or do we just want to say our 4?
Why don't you go first and just say your 4 as well, and kind of why you've picked them.
Okay. How about this? How about we'll just say each go back and forth. Let's just say, okay. So round of 16. Again, I'm looking for diversity of venues. I'm looking for progressively getting harder, and I'm looking for a historic side. I am going with Benfica. Benfica in the round of 16 from Portugal, a good side, a good historic side. I always like all those the trips to Portugal are always tricky and stuff like that. So going with Benfica, round of 16.
Okay, so I've gone for another Spanish side. I want, don't care about venues so much, don't care about history. I want to beat very different playing styles.
Okay.
And that's what I think is a great winner, is one that's come across Europe, so a big range of different types of clubs in different countries, but really important different playing styles as well, just to know that I've just been tested against all different types. So my first one is going to be Barcelona. And
in the round of 16? You want to play him in the round of 16?
Absolute shootout in the first one, like an absolute attacking end-to-end, like 9-8 on aggregate is what I want this game to finish as. Complete shootout.
Okay.
Came here for a shootout.
Okay, in the round of 8, like you alluded to stadium experience. I also like to think of especially my side in that stadium, and like how intimidating it would be and how fun it would be in the stadium, the electricity, how it translates to the TV. And when I think of electricity in the stadium, there is no side that I think of more, besides some Turkish sides, which are crazy, but Borussia Dortmund playing against that wall of yellow, black and yellow. I think it's the largest fan stand in the world. So yeah, I would want to play Borussia Dortmund in my round of 8.
Yeah, I've gone for atmosphere. This is going to be just absolutely bubbling. Galatasaray.
No, I see. Yeah,
I've seen fans get stabbed on the way, and it's just a really bad-tempered, just passion, yellow cards, red cards, diving things. A real absolute battle is what I want for my Galatasaray tie.
I was thinking whether I was going to pick a Turkish side or a Portuguese side in my round of 16. I went with Portuguese just for quality, but I'm a big fan of the Turkish sides. Okay, so round of 4, right? I don't get that many things left. I really need to narrow it down. Again, I'm a little bit going on history and atmosphere and like what the emotions evoke when I see those uniforms, like what like really stirs in me and from history. We go with AC Milan. Love the San Siro. Love the history of the Italians. Cagey, cagey in a semifinal. So I mean, maybe I'm stereotyping the Italians there, but I love those sides. I'm so happy that they're like back in contention this year. So AC Milan, I always think of those Kaká teams, the Seedorf teams, like kind of like they were the big bullies when I first started watching football.
Yeah, I feel I should have a Italian side in my thing, but I don't, and it would be Juventus, but it's not. I've gone for Man City. I would love to be our City rivals in the semi-finals of the Champions League on the way to, and it's not even going to be close. It's going to be like 3-0 home and then 5-0 away. It's an absolute thumping in the semi-finals.
I can't remember what year it was. It was like one of the I don't know if it was one of the years we had an all English semifinal, but I remember Manchester United played Arsenal at the Emirates at the second leg, and I just remember it was like maybe 4-0 within like the first 20 minutes. Ronaldo just destroyed them. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite memories when England used to be back when the sun never set on the English Premier League, and it was just the dominant force in the Champions League around that 05, 08. Not 2009 area. Yeah, fond memories. Okay, so I guess we're at my final, right? My final. It's very important to me that both sides can wear their home kits, right? So I'm going with Chelsea. So it's like I can't have anything that I hate when a side wears an away kit in the final. I want to see good on good, and I think the best. I guess it's not going to be at their stadium. So to me, I want to play Real Madrid. I want to play Real Madrid in the final, that all white kit versus the blue. Global superstars, probably the most supported side in the world. Going with Real Madrid.
Nice. I think we are gonna have a kit clash in my final because there's the bright red versus the dark maroon of Bayern Munich. So the Germans are going to be in the final. Now, one, they are the best team in the world right now, and rightly so. So to beat them would be something special. Number two, it's maybe a little bit of a redemption and play over from the 99 Champions League final where it was just eked past them and those 2 last-minute goals. So that would be a great battle, and it would be good to beat them in the final again and in a more convincing way.
Yeah. Some teams I struggled with not putting in there. You talk about the Turkish sides. I love Ajax would be like one of those sides in a round of 16 would be a tasty side to put in there. I did struggle with. I have a pretty soft spot for Bayern Munich. I love the town of Munich. That's a side I struggled not to put in there. So I think there's anything else. I hate Barcelona. It's like probably my like least like I wouldn't enjoy like. There's some rivals you respect, and there's other rivals where you're just like, I don't enjoy playing this team. Like it's just like, even when we win, I just don't like the experience of playing them. So Barcelona was the side that maybe I obviously didn't put in there. I didn't put any English sides in there. It would be fun. The problem is like we have beaten Liverpool at Anfield to go to a Champions League final and stuff like that. So I've seen it. I can't really remember many United, Chelsea, Champions League clashes. I mean, there's certainly the final, right? That the famous final, but it seems like you guys would draw Arsenal and we would draw Liverpool. That's just kind of the way it was for a little time in the Champions League.
Sticks that north and south divide. That's why.
Yeah, that was fun. Did you? I think we learned something about us in the Champions League. Maybe we can do something more like this in the future, kind of a back and forth, little drafty type thing.
Sounds good to me. It was fun. I can't wait to see this play out this year.
Oh no, you're in Kazakhstan for you don't get to play.
We'll have plenty
I will say this:
Turkish games.
we do play Atletico in the second round. Atletico is a great Champions League side. That's like now it would not be very much fun to play them at all because you know that you're just gonna they're gonna be excruciating to play against. But Atletico is another one of the sides that I look at and like, man, that's a kind of a cool Champions League side to play
You know
with.
who you play after Atletico?
Who are we gonna play after Atletico?
Man United.
Oh yeah. Yes, our next no, we have Southampton, but our second Premier League fixture out. Yes, in sandwich in between Atletico Madrid is the Ben versus Ben derby. Again, let's hope it's a little bit more exciting than the last one.
Yeah, I think it will be. It'll be interesting. It'll be a real test as well for Tuchel.
Yeah, I mean, he's right now being a flat track bully. I mean, he's beating up on these
small kids. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's all you have to do to qualify in top 4 now. Just win the games you're supposed to win, and
that's
just.
True.
All right, Ben. As always, good times.
All right. Speak to you later. Bye.